What's going on, people? It's Ricardo Francis, aka Ricardo Lifting here. Now, you see the title of this video: How to Grow the Cheeks, the Booty, the Bum, the Bumper, the Bunda, the Bordao, that's Bum in patois, the Twash, that's Cheek in patois. But yeah, you get the point. So it's how to grow the bum, essentially. Now, obviously, this video is for the ladies, but guys, if you wanna, if you're trying to get your girlfriend to grow her bum, or if you're trying to activate your bum muscles because you're suffering from lower back pain, etc., this video is dedicated for you guys as well. Um, so yeah, so the main principles of growing a bum is, first you have to understand that the bum, the cheeks, they are muscles, just like any other muscle. So the principles that you apply to grow those muscles is the same across the board. So we first got to think of food. I always go to food first because food is utmost important to determine size. If you're trying to grow a bum, you're trying to increase the size. If you're trying to put on size, you're gonna have to be in a calorie surplus. You know, um, some ladies have a misconception of, "Oh, I'm just gonna eat bare minimal because I want to lose fat, but I want to grow a bum at the same time." You have to prioritize what you want to do. Do you want to grow a bum, or do you want to lose fat? Prioritize what you want first. Secondly, if you're training intense enough and you're in only a slight calorie surplus, you'll grow a bum, but you won't necessarily put on fat, or not a lot of it. So just bear that in mind. You can't outtrain a bad diet. Of course you can't. But what you can do is make sure that your calorie surplus is so small that you don't put on fat, because you're training hard enough to make sure you're burning adequate calories and you're stimulating your bum enough to be able for it to make sure that the weight you're putting on is in your bum, it's in muscle mass, it's in growth. So don't be afraid to eat food. So next we go on to training. Now, you probably see it all the time in the gym, especially where girls are doing booty workouts, and they typically are kickbacks, lying leg raises. You see some body weight glute bridges, maybe banded work, etc. And that is only half the story, meaning that's not saying that's wrong to do, but it's only part of the workout. It shouldn't be the main component in growing a bum. To be honest, if you just do that alone, to try and stimulate your bum cheeks, you will tone, but they won't actually grow. To grow, I said, just like any muscle, you have to progressively overload in terms of weight that you use. So this is where you're looking at your compound lifts that are going to stimulate those muscles. So you got to think of things like deadlifts, squats, sumo deadlifts, sumo squats, your glute bridges, but weighted bridges, or should I say hip thrusts. Um, Even something like kettlebell swings, but with adequate weight for you to swing. If you actually break down a kettlebell swing, it's not meant to hurt your back, it's not meant to work your upper body, it's actually meant to work your glutes and your hamstrings mostly. So just things like that, Romanian deadlifts, all these big compound lifts that a lot of girls that I know are scared to do because it's heavy weight. You don't jump into heavyweight, you have to progressively overload. You work at a weight that is light enough for you to have good form, but heavy enough for you to start to struggle on your rep range. If you're in a hypertrophy rep range, which hypertrophy basically means muscle growth, you are in 8 to 12 reps. So as long as you are starting to feel that struggle in that rep range, but still have good form and technique, you don't have anything to worry about. Don't be scared of lifting heavy weight. A lot of women have this misconception of, if I lift heavy weights, I'm going to be big and bulky. How many big and bulky women do you see out there? The reality is, one, it takes a lot to get big and bulky. I can tell you from personal experience, I've had years of training and I have to eat a lot of food to be able to put on mass to make me big and bulky. That's the reality. I'll give you a little breakdown of what that looks like. So I can tell you, a few years back, I was trying to put on muscle mass and I was eating probably 4,000 calories a day. Now, The average person, the average man is meant to have 2,500. So I was eating 4,000, almost double the amount I was meant to have. Some days was even 5,000. To break that down even further, that was me eating about 5 to 6 meals. So I was either eating 6 meals, or sometimes I was eating 5 meals, but that last meal might be a high calorie shake. And when I say high calorie shake, I mean it was about 1,000 calories. And in that shake was protein, bananas, oats, peanut butter, avocado, berries, nuts, you name it. I put it all in there. It's all healthy sources, but it was a lot of calories and a lot. It's very thick. There's a very thick shake, but that's kind of what I had to go through. And even then, when I was eating all of that, I didn't actually put on any weight. I built muscle mass. I got leaner, but I didn't put on any weight. And that goes to show you how much you actually have to eat to get bigger, to get bulky. Um, so yeah, don't be afraid. And as I said, don't be afraid to get fat either, because if you're training hard enough and you're only in a slight surplus, you won't get fat, trust me. Secondly, you don't have the level of testosterone needed to get big and bulky. You know, your genetic limit is at a certain level. You know, guys can probably get this big and bulky. Girls could probably only get this big and bulky. Like, and as I said, you have to do a lot to get to that. You have to lift heavy weights in general, like for the full body, for you to get big and bulky. So don't be scared to lift heavy weights. And most times you don't look bulky from getting bigger. Most times you look bulky from getting leaner. So the same thing a lot of girls are doing, like being calorie and deficit to shed fat. If you get too lean, that's when you start to look bulky per se, because your muscles start to pop out. You know, you start to see definition, and that's most times what you're trying to avoid. So actually, being in a healthy surplus will actually prevent that happening. So I said, in very rare cases, do you see a girl who lifts weights and they start to get heavy, and in the same time she's getting leaner to the point she looks bulky. It's very rare. It's more common in guys, and even then, all you need to do is increase your surplus a little bit, and then you'll put on a little bit more fat, so therefore not looking so big and bulky. Now, again, fat isn't a bad thing. If you put on a lot of fat, then obviously it's bad. But if you have a little bit of body fat, it's not bad, especially if you don't want to be ripped, shredded. Having a layer of fat and being in a healthy range, body fat percentage range, would just mean you have a flat stomach rather than six pack coming through. So it's all about establishing what percentage of body fat you are in terms of bulkiness, but understand that you need to eat to grow and you need to lift to grow. You know, I said the two components for growing any muscle is stimulation and progressive overload. So that means, yes, do the booty workout exercises, or the isolation work to stimulate, but you need to overload that with heavy weight. So your compound lifts, that should be the main part of your workout. You should be spending more time doing that than just doing your isolation work. You know, a good way to do it is, so you isolate and stimulate the muscle, do a big compound lift, so you know that in your compound lifts that muscle is 100% activated and you can definitely feel it, and then finish off with more isolation. You know, that's a good way to build muscle in general. So just give that a try and you'll see that your bum will grow. I hope this content has helped you. If you want to see more content about certain topics particular to you and your goals and your needs, comment what that is and I can make a video about it. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with at least one friend who can learn from this video. Anyway, that's me. I'm out. Peace.